I welcome all to this first session of our alumni talk session. Okay, myself, Dr. Pijus. As you can, I think, welcome Nagraj sir. Uh, I think Nagraj sir has joined, right?
Yes, sir. I mean,
So, yes, welcome. So, I want to introduce our today's presenter, Mr. Nagraj Joshi. He's basically he's currently working in Honeywell. Okay, it's a company called Honeywell, where he's working on the game and VR developer for more than 5 years. So he has developed multiplayer and single player games, gamification, simulation, and e-learning for mobile, PC, HTV, Vive, and Oculus. So there are different applications also he has developed. So Windows Mixed Reality. So there will be lots of meaningful thing to learn from him. So I welcome Nagraj sir, and I uh, request him to start the session. And students, please listen to him very means with attention, so that you can learn this particular domain and the way to prosper in this career. Okay, I welcome again. Please start the sessions.
thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. Actually, it's good to see there are a lot of girls who are interested in gaming because gaming domain is majorly dominated by men. So yeah, it's good to see. And okay, so before starting with anything, I want to just go through like who am I and what I have done and why do I think I'm qualified enough to talk to you guys, because I know some of you may be way more qualified way and way smarter than what I am. To justify why I am talking to you, I guess you should know who I am. So basically, I have not done anything great as of now. I have a simple job, kind of a normal lifestyle, normal home, normal family. Well, you can say my family is a bit abnormal, but still, it's kind of a normal lifestyle I'm having. But why do I think I'm qualified to talk to you guys is because of the journey, and because I have failed so many times that I'm pretty sure that you guys can take that and make better decisions so that you all guys can be successful in your life. So okay, basically, I started off my career as a lecturer in JIT itself, and pretty soon I realized what I really want to do, I will never be able to do because of the academic requirements. You know, you have to complete the syllabus and all that stuff, and that is the point where I thought, okay, like this is not what I am, and I moved on to IT sector, and I started my job as a Java developer. Then I worked as front end HTML backend developer, and then luckily I got a breakthrough in games with Hike Messenger. Hope you guys remember that. So there I was working as a HTML game developer. Then I was working as Coco Studio X, and then I started working on Unity. That's a pretty good game engine that's there. So with all these things and with experience in all these domains, I have learned a lot, and in every domain I have failed once or twice everywhere. So I guess that brings a lot of experience into me, and I'm here to share all that with you, and hopefully you guys can make better decisions than what I did, and be well prepared for what the life has to offer, the challenges that may pop in front of you. Yeah, okay. Basically, my entire presentation I have divided into multiple sections. So we will start with gaming and then move on to the VR part of it. I have a small PPT. This PPT is not much actually. The most of the data that I will be sharing with you is orally. Okay. Basically, this PPT is just for the sake of presenting. Okay. Mm, okay. So hope you guys are able to See my screen? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Hope most of you are getting a view of it. So yeah. Okay. So let's.
yeah, it's visible. Nagaraj.
Okay. Cool. So yeah. First thing. I will start with gaming. In gaming, yeah, I mean, as told, I have not done anything great, okay. But as far as my experience goes in gaming, I have been part of a small team, and we had
Uh,
like almost a very small success in Clash
Nagaraj sir,
Royale. Yeah.
Nagaraj sir,
Yes.
yeah, could you please put it on this thing,
Put it on.
complete screen,
Uh,
PPT,
I'm not able to get it.
slideshow.
Slideshow. Actually, this is the slideshow.
Put it on slideshow. Press F5 so that the
Okay.
screen is completely visible.
Uh,
You just press F5.
yeah, I did that. So, what are you seeing actually? I'm not able to get it.
Okay.
No, it's visible, sir, but can you
If you
just
just put it on
enlarge it little bit
slideshow,
and
means that
put up?
screen PPT will be completely visible. Full. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
See, even you can enlarge it by using that plus button, right? You on that side, just that's if it is not taking in the slideshow mode, then
Yes.
you can just
Yeah,
enlarge.
that's okay. Nagaraj sir, you can continue. No
it's okay.
issues.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry for that. Uh, um,
Yeah, that's
hmm. Okay. So coming to this gaming industry. So first is about this competitive gaming where you can play games and make money. So as I was saying, I have been a part of a small team that had some success in Clash Royale. That's a mobile game, and a little bit of success in this thing, Fortnite. So yeah, of course, like we were not able to make much money out of it. But if you see at the future, it holds a lot of promises. Okay. So in gaming industry, India is ranked at 16th in the world. Okay, in terms of revenue, that's around 8,000 crores of revenue that's been generated currently, and by 2023, all over the world, the estimated revenue generation is estimated to be around 118 billion. Okay, so it's a big number, and the future is very bright as far as gaming is concerned. So if you love to play games and make money out of it, I guess this is the best time to enter into it and get into some of the teams, like prominent teams that are out there, and you can surely make a lot of money, way more than what a software engineer usually makes. So yeah, of course, like it's all about gaming and like improving yourself and understanding how the game works. So if you are pretty good at that, this is a pretty good choice as a profession in the long term. Of course, the downside of this is I don't know how many of you guys know, but the gaming career is taken from to be from 18 years to 26 years. So as soon as you hit 26 years, people usually expect you to retire from the gaming profession. So that's one kind of a drawback to it. But if you can prove that you can still play at 30, 35, or 40 years, you can make a lot of money. And of course, making money doing the things we love to do, it's something amazing. Okay. So see if you can do something like that. And these big players like Paytm, Alibaba, Tencent, they are investing heavily in this gaming domain. Okay, this competitive gaming, and they are bringing up their own teams in India because they know Indian teams are capable enough to compete at the global level. And like it's all there. Name, fame, money, everything is out there. So these things are happening in the gaming domain. Like if you are really interested in playing games and all, this is a profession you can surely consider. And with little experience I have in it, this is the information that I can share. And this is a demonstration of how the prize pool has been increasing for Dota 2. It's a huge amount of money. Okay, if you win only once in your lifetime, two generations can sit at home and enjoy their life. So this is how grand it is, the gaming. Um, okay, so this has been gaming. Okay, let's start game development. Okay, so as far as competitive gaming is concerned, like if you're really interested, you can join some of the community that is there. There is a page on Facebook called Dota 2 Players Bangalore, so they keep on updating you, and there are some gaming centers in Bangalore that you can join. There's one in Indranagar that I know of. So if you go there and prove yourself, they will surely take you in. And there are a lot of other things. There may be something in university as well, so try to be a part of that community and spread your word. And if you're good enough, you can surely go on and make a wonderful career out of it. Okay, yeah. So now let's move on to the game development. Okay, so coming to this game development, I have been in game development more than like 5 years now. Since childhood I wanted to be into this games, and I was always talking about like how they make games and all that. And luckily, with some blessings and all, I was able to enter this domain. And yeah, luckily I am part of a lot of games that are being built there. And there some of the games that I did are on the Play Store, and some of the assets that created for games are on the online stores that are there, and people are buying it. So it's a very special feeling when you are able to make some money out of things you love. So yeah, coming to the game development. Okay, this particular slide proves that games are making a lot more money than what movies are making. Okay, so till now the de facto when it comes to entertainment was movies. Okay, so movies industry, film industry was the biggest, okay, in the entertainment sector. But in recent days, gaming is giving a tough challenge to a film industry. Okay, and in many years, like at least two times, I guess, till now two times there have been like basically in two separate years, the gaming was able to beat the film industry. So that means the amount of money gained, or the profit made, or the revenue generated by the gaming is way more than that of the film industry. So that's how it is. So when you talk about the future is very bright in game development, because there is so many opportunities. All these big players like Ubisoft and EA Games, all these big studios have established their own studios in India, and they are hiring. Apart from that, there are more than 200 startups. So when I talk about 200 startups, these are the like prominent startups, so the startups that have already able to earn some name and fame in the gaming industry. So these startups are also hiring. So when it comes to job opportunity, there is like limitless opportunities for you guys to join in and get into this game development, and basically this designing and development of games. So talking about this, when it comes to game development, there are basically two domains. All these companies, all these big names, basically hire in two domains. One is programming, and one is design. So yeah, I mean, I can start talking about programming and design, but I would like to know from you guys, when it comes to gaming, like do you have any lead over there, or do you know about like how it's made or anything, like in college or in your personal life? Have you ever encountered anything about this? Like any of the students can please speak up about this. Like if you know anything about like game development, or if you have started something in the game development. I just want to know like where you are on this. Like what do you know, and things like that. So if someone can speak up, it would be really great. Actually, you should unmute and speak. Okay, I will give you a few seconds to think about it and speak up. Anybody willing to talk? Come on, guys, you can speak up. No need to be formal or anything.
Yes, students, please interact with the person, resource person.
Of course, I'm hoping that there will be a there is going to be a QA session at the end of it, because there is a lot that you will be wanting to know. And also, if there is anything, so if you know anything about gaming.
So once I have developed a small game in Unity.
Okay, nice. So you were able to get into like what the gaming is, and did you get some any input or anything, or it was
So
just
not much. I have just learned it for college competition. So only I have worked for that, and after that I didn't work on it.
okay? Okay, nice, nice, cool. So gaming is all about self-learning, to be frank.
I have just used the simple physics concepts, sir. Like, so I have just used simple physics concept and all, like rigid body and serialized fields and that all.
Nice, nice, good. Okay. So why I asked this question was, this will give me a better way of explaining things, okay? Because you guys are, I guess, like basically from a MCA branch, and you have been, what we can say, into programming much. I don't know how much of the game design part you know, or the designing software like Photoshop and all, you will be having an idea of. So yeah, I will start with the programming part. When it comes to game development programming, there are multiple branches, that is AI programming, gameplay programming, interactions, and all that stuff. So you can always select like which domain you want to be in. AI is pretty challenging, gameplay is kind of decent, and when it comes to like small interactions, like when you are playing games, you press E for interactions, you press F for some sort of interactions. So these kind of interactions, it's pretty simple. So depending on your expertise and interest, you can choose any of this. So there is the main division is programming versus design. So coming to designing is a very creative job, where you get to create a level or something with your own imagination. So you are pretty good with imagining stuff, and if you are pretty good with daydreaming, I guess you can really shine in this domain, where you can design a level. So basically, you have to drop the bunch of objects at particular places, so to make the level look good or look relevant. And there is character design. Character means all uh, uh, the characters, basically the people walking around in the game, and enemies that are attacking you, and the guns you hold. All these things are part of character itself, because they are closely coupled with the character that are going to use it. So that is there. And props and environment. So when it comes to props and environment, this is all about things that make your game look good, okay? Or the these are things that make games more relevant to the idea that you are working on. So these are the major two parts when it comes to game development. You can surely choose. As you guys are into programming, I guess most of you will be interested in AI or gameplay programming. So please take a look at it. And if you are really interested in game development, it's always good to start as soon as possible in this. Learn as much as possible. So yeah, like this is what the game development is. So let's now I will talk. I mean, basically, I want to give some information about the jobs. So breaking into game development is not that easy in India, because hiring are not done the way these TCS, Infosys do. Okay, they come to the campus and do the recruitments, and there are mass walk-ins, and also there is news and data readily available. Okay, when it comes to TCS, you know, when they are organizing walk in and all that. But when it comes to gaming industry, you know, there are like really big names in gaming. When it comes to like Dhruva Interactive is oldest gaming company in India. Okay, and they earn like crores together every year, but it is not covered in media. Okay, when Infosys or Wipro are making these huge hirings, you can read it in newspapers. But when these guys make hiring, there is no information about that in any newspaper or news channel or anywhere. So it's kind of hard to keep a track of it. But if you are pretty much active in that domain, that is by following them on LinkedIn and Facebook, you can get some updates from them, so who are hiring and all that. It's always a good idea to follow these big companies on LinkedIn and all. and there are other smaller companies as well, but it's pretty hard to find. So I cannot recommend like what would be the best way to like get in touch with those companies. But if you can get to know about some of the startups through some of your contacts, it would be great. And do follow those companies, so whenever they put out this we are hiring post, you will be the one to know of it. So that's one way of getting information about who is hiring and who is not. So okay, so you got information that some guy is hiring. So what should you expect in the interview, and what that other guy will expect in the interview from you is a portfolio. You should always be ready with a portfolio. So you love playing games, then spend some time making games as well. So as I told, Unity is one of the free game engines that's there, and Unreal is another free game engine that's there. So you can choose any of the free game engines that is there, and start making something. Like any dumb game will also do. Just you have to prove to the employer that you are damn interested in gaming, because gaming industry is full of people who are really passionate about games. Okay, we used to play games all the time, and we whenever like we friends go out to have dinner, lunch or something, we always talk about games. Okay, this game should be like this game should can be improved in this way. So it's all about passion. So if you are able to show that you are really passionate about this gaming, then there are pretty good chances, even though your skills may not meet their standards, but still they will hire you, because you have proved yourself that you are very much passionate in gaming. So that's one the most important thing, that's portfolio. So once you have portfolio, the next things you should work on is skills. I struggled a lot when it comes to programming skills, because there are a lot of very basic what you can say concepts that people expect you to know, and I had no idea about these things. These include having in-depth knowledge of data structures that we use for games. I mean, not only games, but basically in-depth knowledge of data structures, how the data is organized, and to know, like this Facebook and all, how this friend recommendation works, and in what way are they able to organize the data in the database. Things like this, the data structures is very important when it comes to these large games. Okay, if you are making very small games like Angry Bird or something, data structure may not be a big deal. But when it comes to games like League of Legends, Dota 2, and even Fortnite kind of games, where each and everything changes. Like if you find an armor, your health should increase. Really, health should increase, or it should be altered in some other way. So in what way you keep all the data, in what way you access all the data, means a lot. Okay, these are very simple examples that I give, but once you dive deep into game development, you will understand how important it is. So apart from that, there is something called as object patterns. I'm still learning all those, like in what patterns you should organize your basic programming architecture. So what patterns you should use, what you should not use. So every pattern has ups and downs. Okay, so these are the things that you should learn. And I am like pretty unhappy with myself, because I was not able to learn it uh, during those, like during that MCA time or early in the career. But yeah, like this is what I am here to share with you guys. Just make sure that you are up with your skills, and you are really at a standard where you can prove yourself to everyone that whatever the task they give you, you will come up with the best way possible, the best solution possible. And these are the things they usually look for when it comes to gaming. So these two are the important things, and there are few more things that are not applicable to everyone, but it may be applicable to some of you. That's getting lucky. Few people are very lucky since birth, so they somehow stumble upon some opportunity and get into the domain. But for some people, it's a real struggle to find their passion and get into that industry. So try to get lucky by doing something. Anything works. Basically, I got lucky when I was searching for a job in gaming domain. I somehow got a entry coupon to the game conference that was happening there. That was similar to game developers conference that happens internationally every year. And I went there and collected all the visiting cards, of everyone, and I also got a interview, and luckily I got that job, and that was how I entered into this mainstream gaming. So that so there I got my first proper gaming job. Okay, there we were developing multiplayer games, and yeah, it had its ups and downs, but still, like, I was able to learn how the games are made. This is how it works. It's not easy to get into it. There isn't much information on what's going on. That's about game development and how you can get into game development. Of course, the points I'm covering are very limited, but I'm pretty sure during the question and answer session, you can come up with better questions so that I can answer these queries that you'll be having about, like, how to get a job and all that, like the queries that matter to you, rather than covering all these generic points that are there. Okay, so this is for gaming. So now let's switch to VR. Okay. So when it comes to VR, I read, like, there are many articles, but one that's explained, like, what to expect from VR in the coming days in a very precise way is this statement, that is, VR is one of the technologies with the highest projected potential for growth. Okay, I will read it once more. VR is one of the technologies with the highest projected potential for growth. Okay, so this summarizes a lot in one sentence. Okay,
Excuse me, sir. We cannot able to see the screen, sir. Only first slide is visible. VR and gaming first slide is visible.
is it?
Yes, sir.
How come?
Yes, sir. Now it is updating.
Now it's up. Really? What are you able to see now?
Fourth number slide, sir.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I don't know, like, for how long this was happening. Sorry for that.
Sir, from beginning it's the same, sir. From beginning, no slide has been changed.
Okay. So I will take you through these slides then. So yeah, this was the comparison of how the esports is, like, what's the price pool and all that stuff. Of course, this doesn't matter in India, because in India it's altogether different story, and most of us won't make it to these big leagues. So we can surely concentrate on the game we love, to play, and create our own team and participate. So this is for Dota that I wanted to share with you guys. So this is the total prize pool is a huge amount. Okay, so if you win this competition once, two generations can sit at home and enjoy their life. Okay, this is how the esports domain is in the world. That holds a pretty bright future for everyone who is good at playing games. And this is the slide where so you guys are able to see it, right?
Yes, sir. Now it's updating, sir.
Okay,
It's working right.
cool. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, I mean, this is the slide where I wanted to show you how gaming industry compares with the film industry. As I told you, like, film industry was the de facto when it comes to entertainment, because the amount of money being earned by movies was, like, the highest compared to all others. Like, uh, in entertainment, there are a lot of things, right? There is play, there is circus, and there are these animation, like, kind of things that are outside of films. But since I guess, like, 2015 or 2012, I guess, the gaming is catching up with film industry, and there have been 2 years when gaming was able to outrun that of film. So you can see a simple comparison, how much money games are making and how much money the movies are making. So this is just a very simple and small statistics data, but if you can able to search online, you will get a better understanding of in what way gaming is performing better compared to films when it comes to money. Okay, apart from money, there are a lot of other domains that we will be interested in. So of course, like, in Q and A session, if you want to know about a particular domain, a particular thing in gaming, I will surely answer that, and I can simply cover some generic topics, but I don't want to because it may not be relevant to you guys. So I want to talk about more things that are related to you rather than to just some generic audience. Okay. So yeah. Coming to VR, as I told, like this has the highest, one of the highest potential of growth. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I would like to talk to you guys. Like, have you ever experienced a VR? Have you ever gone through a VR experience in some malls or somewhere?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there is this one guy talking, but I am not sure like why others are not. Maybe you are not comfortable or what, but it would be really great if you can communicate and like if there is something that you want to discuss like right now, you can stop me and we can discuss also. That's also fine, but it would be better if you can interact. So yeah, coming to the point, and here are the 10 technologies, okay, that have highest potential of growth when it comes to the time period of 2021 to 2030. So these are the things that people recommend you to learn. uh, XR is one of it. XR basically is a term that covers virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. Okay, so why is this like people term it as the technology of future? Like, can you guys just give me some, like, what do you think? Like, why is this considered to be future technology? Do you have any idea? If you have gone through some articles or something that you want to share.
I think in future, combining artificial intelligence and augmented reality, all the call center or virtual assistants will be there. So this is a very big industry and very growth will be there.
Of course, like there is a lot of research being done and lot of investment is being poured into artificial intelligence assistance and augmented reality. So augmented reality comes where you want to overlay a virtual object over a physical object through mobile or some sort of a device basically. So that's one point. And okay, so have you ever gone through a virtual experience where you can do something actually? Like, I don't know how many of you, because in Belgaum, I guess there should be some place where you can get this VR experience. If you guys are from Bangalore, then I expect you to have some experience in VR. Anyone like that? Okay, if you guys don't know about VR, I will try to explain it in the best way possible. So VR is a concept where you are placed in a virtual environment, okay, where you can interact with all the objects that are there with your own hands, okay. So hands may be represented by the controller that the VR sets have, or you can use your actual hands for interactions. In Quest 2, that is recently out in the market, it costs around 47,000. You can literally use your own hands to interact with the virtual objects. So that is what virtual reality is. So basically you are teleported to a virtual world and you can move around, you can interact with the objects with your own physical hands. So that is why it's so special, because the experience you get is totally real. The environment may be virtual, but the experience is totally real. So that gives a lot of credibility to what you learn and what you do. Okay, so when we are talking about virtual reality, there are two major problems when it comes to learning it. Okay, if you want to learn the virtual reality development, there is no proper infrastructure. Okay, so when it comes to game development, there are a lot of institutes like Mac, ants, and there are a lot of other mm, institutes which provide you diploma in game development and all that, but there is no institute anywhere that provides any sort of learning opportunity for virtual reality. So that's a major problem. And another is it's very expensive. So you can say, okay, if there is no one who is willing to teach me, I will teach myself. I can self learn. but the problem with that is it's too expensive. For virtual reality, I bought a system that is worth close to 2 lakhs, and then I had to invest around 45,000 on a virtual reality headset. So that's how expensive it is to if you want to learn VR. Okay, so these two are the major problems, and there is a huge demand for VR developers. And as you know, as there is no training infrastructure, the supply is like almost zero. There are no people graduating with experience on VR development. So this is the scenario of the market, and as this all these big people, Honeywell is there, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and some even in India like HAL, DRDO, they are investing heavily on virtual reality because of first fact is the training. The kind of training you give in virtual devices, it's as good as the real training, and it cuts the cost. Okay, so you may have a scenario where you want to train people in what we can say handling a very expensive device. Okay, you are developing a device that's very expensive, and you are training people to assemble it. And in case if you train them on the actual device, and if they damage it, the cost is too high. But in virtual reality, that cost is totally eliminated, because they are not working on the actual thing, they are working on the virtual devices, and the experience they gain is totally real. As I told you, the environment is virtual, but the experience is totally real. So what they do is exactly what they're going to do in the real life. So this is the major factor why people want to use virtual reality, and people are investing heavily in this. Here there are a few use cases where VR can be used. So like, can you guys come up with something like why do you think like so many people are interested in VR, and why like so much of investment and so much of research is being done? The one thing that I told you is it costs, it saves a lot of cost, and even maybe time as well. So like what may be the other things that you can see here? By making sure you do interact, I'm trying to make sure that you guys are awake and listening to me, because like usually we log in, connect, and go out. That's what happens. I'm just trying to make sure you guys are here.
One advantage of VR over real world, we can say some of the things which we cannot implement in real world, we can do in virtual world. So VR is one way helpful.
Exactly. Very good point. Actually, so the thing that we cannot do in real world, that we do in virtual world, is training of people when they are, like going to do some harmful activity, like a bomb disposal squad. In real life, you can never come up with a scenario where you are going to plant actual bomb and ask them to dismantle it. Okay, in virtual reality, you can do that. Okay, with no harm, with basically there will be no casualty or anything. Okay, so this is a point that is going to like mean a lot when it comes to virtual reality, because hazardous environment are totally eliminated, the training is real, the experience is real, and when they go out in the real battlefield, they are ready for the task, and we can be sure that they really know what they're going to do here. Okay, so yeah, a very good point. Anything else?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah,
So when it comes to education, like the students will be very interested in learning when it comes to virtual reality. So
true.
like it will be in a complete different way.
Exactly. So in education, basically we are using virtual reality to make learning more fun, more interactive, and more intuitive. Instead of making them go through these boring textbooks and all, because textbooks are basically black and white. With this, we basically bring colors to life when it comes to education. So that's a pretty good point. So there are a lot of other things also you guys can go through and come up with your own explanation of in what way that can be useful. Anyone else? Okay, I can be sure that there are at least two people who are listening to me. And when it comes to this presentation, if all these professors and lecturers, they may or may not listen to what I'm saying, but because this may not make a big impact in their life, but as students, if you can get something out of it, I'll be really happy. Else, I will be wasting 1 hour of your life. So I don't want to do that. So yeah. Okay. So I will continue with some of the points that I have. So when it comes to VR, it is projected to have 10x growth as far as salary is concerned. So if you are earning around 100 rupees per month in 2021, you will be earning 10,000 rupees by 2030. So that's the amount of growth you are looking at when it comes to virtual reality, because obvious reasons, there is no training infrastructure, and there is a huge demand for people who can work on virtual reality. Even in when I was being interviewed at Honeywell, they were more stressing on if I worked on VR or not, because they know there is a very few opportunity where people get to work on VR. That's a very big positive if you have it. Okay, so uh, okay, coming to how you can self learn the VR, you can surely talk to your parents, and if they are ready to invest around 1 lakh to 1.5 lakhs, you can buy a decent PC and a VR headset, and you can train yourself. Okay, that's going to make a huge difference. And well, if your parents are not ready for that kind of investment, there isn't much we can do. But well, what I can say, you can surely come up with some better idea where you and your friends can, maybe invest something, and maybe ask your parents to collaborate and invest or do something, and come up with a better plan where without investing much you can get experience with virtual reality. And apart from that, okay, so let's talk about how to get a job in virtual reality. Okay, so I've been explaining all these things about what virtual reality is, what the potential is, we know it's almost limitless. Okay, so here you can see in this slide. So here in this, are you able to see it, this
Yeah,
architectural slide? Okay,
Yes,
okay,
yes,
yes,
sir,
cool.
we can see that.
it's visible.
Cool, thanks. So here, what's happening is we are basically taking an architect or a guy who is a stakeholder in this particular plant. Okay, so it's an industrial plant, and this guy is taking a look at what it's going to be. So if he needs any changes, he can literally point it out and say like, this is not the way we are going to design it and all. So this is how it's going to help in real estate and like basically construction. Okay, when it comes to construction, we can use virtual reality to make sure we are developing something that the client wants, or something is at par with the requirement for what we are building it. Okay, and this is something that makes me really proud. Okay, because when it comes to training medical students, nothing can match virtual reality, because even dead bodies are very expensive. Okay, and they are very hard to find by. So this is the domain where you can literally train each and every medical student to operate on patients without much of the expense, and they will get pinpoint accuracy on like what they are doing, how it should be done, and all other stuff. So when it comes to virtual reality, it's not just about making money or getting a successful career option. It's about how we going to change the world. Okay, this is literally going to save lives. So this is something that makes me really proud, because there is a lot of potential in it to save lives and make this world a better place to live in. Okay, and in this slide you can see how some of the part we can hide, so that the students will be able to get a closer look at the inner part, and this is not possible in any of the cases in medical science. Okay, it's pretty difficult to do it without virtual reality assistance. So these are the things that make me really proud of virtual reality and its potential on what it can do. And when it comes to military training, again we get the news of like soldiers being killed due to some accidents and all that stuff. So here we are literally saving lives by making this training totally a virtual event. So whatever happens here happens, but no one gets hurt. Okay, so we can evaluate each and every soldier separately, and we can guide them on what they can do better. So these are the things that make me really proud of virtual reality, because it making this world a better place to live in, and it gives a better opportunity to train people, and it also, as I have been saying, literally saves lives. So these are the like very proud points of virtual reality. So yeah, again, coming to how to get a job. So first thing is, experience is a big positive. Okay, so if you have experience, it's going to increase your chance of getting a job like multiple folds. Okay, I'm not talking about industry experience. Okay, experience you have developing virtual reality apps in your home, that also counts. If you have some apps that you can show to the recruiter, okay, see, these are the things that I've been developing, these are the things I have done during my free time. So this gives you a proof that I have been working on virtual reality. So that's more than enough for them to recognize, okay, this guy has worked on, and there is short supply of VR developers, you will be hired like instantly. So that's one thing. And apart from that, if you are into game development, VR and gaming are closely related. So if you are good at developing games, you will be pretty good at developing VR apps as well. So if you are not able to invest that heavy amount on the all these devices, like the system you want and the VR devices you want, you may not be able to invest in it. But you can, with any laptop or a system that you have, you can surely get started with the game development. That experience can surely land you in a VR job. And when it comes to gaming versus VR has the potential to, like, it will help you earn a lot of money in the future. Okay, as I told you, your salary will be multiplied by 100 in 10 years. So that is the potential of a job in VR. And when it comes to gaming, it's all about passion. If you're really passionate about gaming, you can surely get into gaming and make lots of money. So if the money is the point of your view, so yeah, I mean, you can choose based on what you like. If you're really passionate, go for gaming. Or if you want to, like, easily settle in and make a lot of money, you can surely come for VR. And when it comes to job security, gaming and VR, they are very much secure, because VR is emerging, and gaming is all about passion. So if you have passion, you will surely be safe in gaming industry. So these are the things when it comes to job. And if you have been developing games, and if you switch to VR, you will see that switching to VR is very easy. Simply, like, you have to learn a new SDK. So basically, game development is all about SDKs. There are a lot of, like, Unity itself is a SDK on C Sharp. And this virtual reality applications, all these have SDKs. Like, there is HTC Vive, there is Facebook's Oculus, and of course, like, apart from this, there is Windows mixed reality as well, and many more. So all these are SDKs basically. So you have to import those SDKs and learn what these SDKs do, which functions to call when. So once you know this, you are all set, all ready for this job. And I'm pretty sure when it comes to VR, you will find a huge response towards you, if you put this, like, VR in your LinkedIn profile. So this is all about gaming and VR, how to get job in these domains. So yeah, I have covered a few generic topics, but if you guys want to ask something that is specific to you, it would be really good to answer that, rather than going through this generic stuff. So yeah, I mean, this is the presentation. This is the uh, experience and information that I wanted to share with you guys. Hope you guys will be benefited by it, and hope I did not waste any of your time. And hopefully you can come up with a better decision making, as I told you, when it comes to programming and all, there was a lot of things that I was not able to cover in the initial days of my career or during the course of this MCA or BCA or whatever it is. So that was some of the things that I lacked because there was no one to guide me. But I'm pretty sure after this session, you will be having a better idea on what you want to learn, where your passion lies. If you don't know where your passion lies, please try to find it out, figure it out, and make sure that you earn money by doing what you love to do. And one more thing is, in life, never give up on your dream. Okay, like whatever it is, dancing, singing, or programming, whatever it is, it's all about sticking to that dream and believing that you will break through at some point and life will be better. So yeah, this is what my life has taught me, and I'm pretty sure uh, you will also have a lot of cool stuff to learn once you go out of your college life. So yeah, all the best, and this is my presentation, and yeah, really looking forward to your questions now. Okay, I'm open for questions.
Excuse me, sir.
Huh?
This is Ajay here.
Yeah, tell me.
My question is, I have no experience in game development, to be frank. I play some of the basic games.
Okay.
My question is, what kind of hardware do we require to develop like beginner and mediate level games? Like what are the graphics specification and the processor specification and the hardware specification we need to get into a decent developing a decent game with decent graphics, you can say, or realistic
Okay.
graphics, I can say.
See, decent graphics is one thing. Realistic graphics is a totally different thing. Okay. So, have you heard of this game called Stardew Valley?
No, sir, I don't know
Okay.
all those
Okay,
A
okay.
title games.
So, what happened with the Stardew Valley is it is a simple 2D game that was developed by only one person, and it is doing a lot of business, like lot of literally. Uh, as I told, he was able to accumulate wealth which can sustain for generations. Okay, so he basically did it with Unity game engine, and the PC he had was very low end. Okay, around GTX graphics card. So nowadays there's this 1070 1080 are pretty standard, but during those days GTX, like in my old laptop, this current laptop I'm using now, it has GTX 8040, I guess. So even that is enough for developing games. So this is the PC in which I developed my first game. So this should be enough to get a decent graphics quality, decent enough game, and with a proper marketing, you can sell out that game like hell. Okay. So even if you have a simple, like, what system do you have currently? What is the specification of that?
My system is very old. I am planning to buy a new one, so I am asking you, like, if we are interested in graphics level development, so
Okay.
what are the beginner level
Okay.
PCs or laptops which you can buy?
Okay, to develop a standard game that would, like, look good and all, you can invest around 50 to 60,000, buy a laptop. This Acer's, what is that? Nitro series was also fine, and if you can buy this Predator series, Acer Helios and all that stuff, that would be great. But investment of 50 to 60,000 will buy you a Nitro series laptop, and that is good enough for a decent game development. If you are really looking to have like great quality graphics and all, I recommend not to go for that, because a lot of people fall for that. Like, good looking game is not necessary. A entertaining game will make you a lot of money, will help people get entertained. Okay, so first thing would be to come up with a good entertaining idea, and any PC that has a decent enough of 1050 GTX graphics card should be enough, and a PC with i7 of 4th generation processor should be good enough. If you have i7 7th gen, 8th gen, or 9th gen, great, go ahead. So this is the kind of investment you will be needing to come up with a good game.
Do you prefer Intel or AMD for
Both are
game
fine.
development?
Both are fine. So there is, when it comes to Intel and AMD, if you are going for top end this thing, it makes a difference. But again, like depending on the amount of investment that you want to make, take a look at it. Like whichever is costing you less, go for it. That should be enough for all these decent kind of games. For comparison, I don't know in these simple games like mm, I'm not able to come up with a better game like Age of Empire 2 kind of graphic details and all. You will be able to easily get it on a decent enough system that I specified, uh, like GTX 1050 and like i7 of like 4th generation and above. So this should be enough for you. Hope you know Age of
Excuse
Empire
me,
2.
yeah, my other question is,
Uh,
for example, I don't know anything about gaming.
okay,
I am decent at programming, I would say. So
okay.
if I want to go into gaming, what are the basic things as a beginner I would face difficulties in the beginning? Like what I need to focus on?
Okay, so when it comes to games, the first difficulty that I faced was mathematics. Okay, there are a lot of mathematical calculations that you should be good at. There are a lot of physics related calculations, like depending on if your game is based on physics or not. You should be good at physics, like the gravity equations and all that stuff. Of course, you will get it online, but you should be able to know in what way you are going to use it, so it brings the desired result in your game. And of course mathematics is very important, this vector maths and matrix multiplication kind of things, like basically matrix what you can say manipulation related, all the things that you should be good with. So these two cover the basics, and apart from that, once you go like linear algebra and all those things come into picture. So like how good you are with the maths, that kind of helps. Like programming you are pretty good, that I understand, but if you don't know much of mathematics, it will trouble you a lot. It is troubling me a lot. Actually, I have been working on reflection and refraction and still not able to get the refraction right. So like these things happen if you're not good with maths.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other question? Somebody else wants to ask?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Vishal.
Yeah.
So what is the difference in AR and VR exactly?
Okay, so AR is basically uh, there is a physical world, okay? The world we live in, that is there. Over that, we put a virtual object. Okay, so there is a table, like basically there is a QR code, and on that QR code we spawn a particular object, like a dragon or maybe a car or something. So it's all about the physically there exists an object. Over that object, we are placing a virtual object to make it look more fancier or help a guy get trained in that particular thing. So that's what AR is. Augmented reality. Reality is there. We are just augmenting it. Virtual reality is totally, you are totally blocked out of this physical world and you are teleported to a virtual world. All you see is virtual world. There is no reality there. So that's the major difference between AR and VR. VR, you are totally cut off from the physical world. So that's what it is. Did I answer your question or you want some other details?
No, sir. So I have one more question.
Huh?
What tool we have to use to deploy the games into Android, which we built in Unity using C Sharp?
I was not able to get the first part. What is it?
So I have developed one simple game in Unity using C Sharp, and I wanted to deploy into Android. Then which tool I have to use?
So in Unity, so there is something called as Unity Hub. Okay, so in that you can select while installing the Unity versions, you have to check Android if you want to target the Android, and you have to check the iOS if you are targeting the Apple Store. So these two things are very much needed. Even though if you are not done that during installation, you can again go to Unity Hub, go to the install section, and there you select the version you want to use for Android development, and there are three dots. Okay, click it and click on add modules. There you can check the Android and install it. It will be all done.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I'll check.
Sure.
Excuse me, sir. As you said about reflection and refraction in game development or
Uh,
game textures,
okay.
there is something we hear about ray tracing. That is a new thing, a new hub. We can say
Yeah.
a new word which is being used. Like PS5 has coined that word, or they are implementing in Unreal Engine 5.
Mm.
So anything about ray tracing?
Okay, see, ray tracing is a very old concept, to be frank. That's part of physics or graphics, I'm not sure. So basically, it's a combination of graphics plus physics. So in ray tracing, what happens is in real world, in how the light reflects over the surfaces. Okay, and from the water, it gets reflected in one way. Through the glass, gets reflected in one way. So every object has its own way of reflecting the light. So ray tracing is the concept of implementing that same thing in the virtual world. It's very difficult, okay, because this light is all about what I can say is visually whatever you see on the screen, it's very intensive. Okay, there are a lot of mathematical computations that go inside it. So it's very difficult to recreate this actual physical world in the virtual system. So this ray tracing with what these NVIDIA guys and AMD guys are able to do is they are able to replicate exact behavior of light in the virtual world as well. So that's a huge achievement. And as you can see in 3000 series cards and the 6000 series cards, AMD and NVIDIA are both able to get that. And the graphics look really realistic because of that. Basically, they are able to calculate all this light reflection on different physical objects. So that's what ray tracing is. Hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. And another thing is when I see a lot of gaming channels on YouTube,
Hmm.
they say much focus on shadow of the game. Like they speak about shadow. What is the quality of shadow in which they decide the good game is good or not. So can you tell anything about the shadow or the shadow thing they talk about in games?
Okay.
What is it? How does it impact?
Okay, so basically, shadow is very graphics intensive thing. Okay, so usually the games I developed, I have disabled the shadows in it. That's how difficult it is to recreate shadows because processor may not handle that. On the older systems, it's very hard to check the shadows because literally the system will shut down because of overheating. So basically what happens with the shadows is there is like soft shadow and hard shadow. Hard shadow is very low level shadow where we recreate the shadow with strong edges. Okay, but in the soft shadow is closer to the real life shadow that we have in our real life, where it's like smoothens out the boundaries of the shadow to make it like look exactly how it looks in the real world. So why they compare is it's all about how good this particular game engine is in computing the again the light. So when it comes to creating a shadow, uh, again the lot of processing goes in the background to make sure that shadow appears exactly like it would appear in the real world. As you can see in the games like what we can say,
Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Witcher 3. So the graphics in that shadows are so realistic that even when you are walking through the grass, through the tree, your shadow will be reflected on the tree and not on the ground. So this is something I don't know how they were able to pull it off, but that's really great. Unity still kind of struggles with that, but Unity is still able to do it. But it's a really remarkable achievement when we see shadows like behaving that naturally. So that's how when it comes to graphics they look at shadows to judge like what game is performing better. But overall when it comes to a gameplay, it's all about how fun and how replayable the game is. So that's how the comparison goes.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Which your favorite game, sir?
Favorite game, see, like every game inspires me. Okay, as I told, like Witcher 3. Currently, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla and all. So all these games, like they are so good. I mean, I whenever I play, I will be thinking like someday I will make a game like this. So I'm really proud of all these people, and I really thank them for inspiring me to do something better and train myself to be better than what I am today. So it's like there is no favorite game, but I love all the games and all the game developers who kind of make these awesome games, entertain us, and inspire us to be better than what we are today. So that's what it is.
Sir, according to you, which game has a better storyline which make you more interactive towards the game? According to me, it is Far Cry 3. That is my favorite game, which has a very great story, I could say.
Yeah, story is a very important aspect of gameplay. But yeah, again, coming to games, as I told you, it's all about entertainment. Few people play it for story, few people play it for replayability, and few people play it for just for fun. Like this hack and slash games are there, so they play this just for sake of fun. Story, when it comes to story, yeah, of course, like Far Cry. Most of the Far Cry games are good. Most of the Assassin's Creed games are good. I do love, and there are some indie games as well, like Inside Out, and what is that? What Remains of Edith Finch, Home, Gone Home, and all these things. There is nothing much of a gameplay, but really good story. And when it comes to gameplay, of course, there are like a lot of games like Call of Duty and all with great story and great gameplay. So it's all about like what you like. And yeah, when it comes to games, it's all about entertainment. The first thing, it should be fun and entertaining, and then depends. Like you can go to any of the branches like story, gameplay, or graphics fidelity and all that. So that again depends on like what you are targeting.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wants to ask a question? I think somebody raised a hand.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I want to ask about we normally hear in news and all that during the crunch time, the developers are pressurized to work for a lot of time and all. So, how is that process, sir, in that development, in
That
game
is
development?
true. Actually, not in just a gaming domain, in every domain that is there. In every domain, there is a crunch time. So you have to extend your time. And especially gaming, what happens compared to other applications, gaming is very intensive. Okay, bugs can pop out from anywhere. Like in the parts of game where we think that there is no scope for bugs pop up from there as well. So when it comes to game development, you should always be on your toes, and sometimes yeah, it's kind of frustrating that you have to spend like almost a week inside the office without going home and all. It's there. That's how it is, because once they find out the bug, and if that bug is a showstopper, you have to fix it. There is no other way. You have to stay late, you have to fix it. So it's kind of frustrating. But if you are really passionate about gaming, it won't be frustrating. It will be a fun experience. But if you are not that much into gaming, and if someone asks you to stay in the office and not going back to your wife and kids, it's kind of frustrating. But yeah, it's all up to you to decide on, like, if you're really passionate, crunch time is fine, else crunch time is very stressful, and that happens every time.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Students, I request you to submit the feedback. Sheetal Madam has already shared the feedback form. So without fail, you need to submit the feedback for this session. So I'd like to thank Mr. Nagraj Joshi.
Sir, one
for-
minute. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Nagraj, this is Swarupa ma'am.
Hello ma'am, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It is really nice to see you again. And it was very interesting to hear about your experience in game development. Because I have seen you as my student, and also I have worked with you as my colleague. And I was very happy when you got into game development. It was because
Thank you,
you
ma'am.
were passionate about it. And as a student, I have seen you how enthusiastic you were, and you were never bothered about marks.
That is true.
So you were more into practicals. So that was really nice. So when I got to know that you went into game development career, I was the happiest one to hear that. Okay, so it was really nice, and your ability to present this subject was really good.
Thank you,
We
ma'am.
truly enjoyed your session.
Hope so.
And thanks for your time, because today being Sunday, I know how difficult it is. But you could make it. So thanks so much for your time and your efforts. And we hope you can join us again, maybe in future. We, if you get some time, please talk to our students. Okay.
Of course, of course, of course.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, I mean, to all the students, like if they want, actually they can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just a second, I will.
Yeah,
Yeah, I will just share
please
like.
share it, Nagraj.
Yeah, Nagaraj. Hello, Nagaraj. This is
Hello.
Sheetal ma'am here.
Hello, ma'am. Yeah.
In fact, I wanted to talk a lot.
Okay. Sure.
Just students, I hope you all are listening. It's in fact, it's a pleasure to have Nagaraj on this platform and speaking on the topic of, career opportunities in virtual reality and gaming. So let me just tell you something about Nagaraj, what I know about him. Nagaraj was a student who completed his MCA in 2013-14. If I'm not wrong, Nagaraj,
Yeah, ma'am. Correct.
13-14
Correct.
was the year.
Yeah.
And 2012 was a very memorable year for me, especially with your batch, Nagaraj. If you remember, we had the Questers 12 and
True.
the entire batch, your batch was something which had really supported me a lot. And let me tell you all, students, Nagraj was our colleague of MCA. He started his career with teaching. He was just there for 6 months. And believe me, students, there are very few people who take up their passion as their career. You won't believe that he was just there for 6 months. He felt that this is not his cup of tea. And coming into a teaching profession wherein people feel this is the comfort zone, wherein we don't have to, there's a very different type of course, some years back, the teaching profession was considered to be something very easy go career, where you just can relax more. But he didn't continue with this. He went with his passion. There are very few people in this world who really take up their passion as a career. It was really indeed, I really loved your session, Nagraj. It's not that although I may not be a student and I may not make up my career, there are a lot of things that I could learn. I just want to summarize these students, what exactly we have understood by this particular session. Because if I put myself in a student's position, I would definitely think about a career in gaming and virtual reality, because this is one area which I felt where there is no much competition. And as
True.
Nagraj said that in gaming all that students, please note that Nagraj said that he was not good at programming, but yet he has gone into gaming. And all that he said was that if you really, there were so many perspectives. He said that in virtual reality, if you really are behind money, you really want to make up good money, then I think virtual reality is one area. It's just that if you can afford to put in some more amount of money, buy those devices, do some kind of self-learning. And I also say, I think he said that gaming and virtual reality are such careers wherein you have a job security. Money is also there. And anyways, career means it is all about money. From my of course, passion is there. So you see, I think students must really take up this session. I know you must really think about gaming and virtual reality as a career. Nagaraj is there with us. We will share his contact number and email ID with you people. Those who are interested, please contact Swarupa madam, me, or anybody of us. We would be very happy and glad to, if you could really think about this. It was really a pleasure, Nagraj. Let me tell you, students, he is one such student whom I'll never forget, not just because he was my colleague, but otherwise also as a student. He was a very down to earth and a very simple and straightforward person. Okay, and he has a very good sense of humor. As of now, he was a bit serious, but otherwise, I still remember Nagraj, the hairstyle competition, and I still have preserved that photo of yours. In fact, I was mentioning about this incident with Pawan just two days back.
Yeah.
It
I do still
was
remember all
wonderful
those.
having you, Nagraj. Students, please, I know. And thank you very much for sparing your valuable time. And Sunday, I know how Sundays are important for people who are working. Thank you very much for accepting this invitation and enlightening our students, because Nagaraj, your batch never had this opportunity to interact with alumni. Had you
Okay.
said that I never got any proper guidance. That this batch is very lucky that
True.
we are providing them such opportunity wherein they are getting to interact with the alumni, then they're sharing, wherein they're sharing their experience, so much of guidance. Definitely, you have really guided these students in a different perspective. Even I never knew that there is so much of opportunity available, and moreover, there is no much competition. So that's all I had to tell you all, students. Please make the best use of this particular session. I have shared the feedback link. Please, it will hardly take 2 minutes. We would want your valuable feedbacks. Okay. I request all the students to please fill in the feedback. And it was a wonderful session. Once again, thank you very much. Thanks to all the students for, taking your precious Sunday time and joining this session and making this session successful just by your presence. And thanks, Ajay and Vishal. You people's questions were really very good questions, and I think not others might be not in a position to ask questions, but whatever it is, I thank each and everyone. I thank Piju sir. I thank Pavan sir. I thank Swarupa madam for giving us this opportunity to call Nagaraj on this platform. Overall, it was a really very, very informative and very intuitive session. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so
Nagaraj.
much, ma'am.
Thanks, everybody. Please fill in the feedback form, students. Without fail, I've shared it on the chat. Please look at the chat box. You will be able to see the feedback form. Thank you, Nagaraj.
Thank you,
Pavan,
ma'am. Yeah,
Pavan, do you
so
have anything to say?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Nagaraj, for a wonderful session. It was really, we got to know a lot many things regarding gaming and virtual reality. And definitely it is going to help the students, those who wanted to build their career on in virtual reality and gaming and all. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and as well as spending time with us.
yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you.
So yeah, this
So
is my
thank
LinkedIn
you.
profile. Yeah, you can take a look at it. Yeah.
Nagaraj, it would be better if you share that link in the chat box so that student
Okay.
can follow you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you again, Nagraj Joshi, for Mr. Nagraj for actually sparing this time, and it was actually very informative and valuable session. We all enjoyed your sessions. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay then. Thanks for everything. And if you are done, I will take my leave.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you
so
very
much.
much. Thank you, Nagaraj.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Students, please fill in the feedback.